Ladies and gentlemen, we meet again for a short and sweet idea towards Parashat Mas'ei. And this parasha, maybe more than any other parasha in the whole of the Torah, can be called Migalut leGeula, from exile to Geula, to redemption. In what way? The beginning of the parasha talks about all the 42 stops we made from leaving Mitzrayim until where we're standing now in this week's parasha, which is the final stop before entering Eretz Yisrael. We're opposite Jericho, Al Yarden Yericho. We're on the border, on the bank of the Jordan River, opposite Jericho. We're about to enter the land of Israel. The final stop, the 42nd stop, and it goes through all the 42 different stages, different stops, different traveling we had to do to get to this stage. And that's the Galut. And then the Geula, what's the second half of the Parsha? How to divide Eretz Yisrael to the different tribes. And since the Leviim don't have a certain piece of land, so they get special towns that's specially assigned for the Leviim. And besides that, we also have the towns for Arei Miklat, for refuge, for people who kill accidentally, who have to go. And they're talking about, in this parsha, we're talking about how to divide the land, who gets what, where, and how. And it's really talking about the final redemption, which is just on the other side of the Jordan River. The Jordan River is a very small river. It's a small matter of getting across the Jordan River. But this is the final stop, and it's very exciting. And it summarizes, this parasha summarizes for us from Galut, from exile, to Geula, to redemption, going into the land of Israel. Interestingly enough, Rashi and the Malbim and quite a few other Parshanim speak about why do we have to know all these 42 different stops that they made? What difference does it make? Most of these places we don't even know where they are, and we don't know how long they stayed in each one of these places. What difference does it make so many years later? To what? The Malbim has a very interesting insight here and says it teaches us that the Jewish nation was so engrossed in the Egyptian mentality that they had to go through rehab. They had to go through a whole process of 40 years in the desert, that the food was given to them, the man, the water was given to them, the Be'er Miriam. They were taken care of by the Ananei Kovod, by the special clouds. And this way, taking them out of the corrupt, terrible, negative influence of the Egyptian people that was so strong, that took 42 steps of teaching us to what extent we have to sometimes deprogram ourselves when we get into a negative situation. That is the Malbim. The Rashi, on the other hand, says, no, it comes to teach us a fantastic relationship, that we show appreciation to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he took us through all these trials and tribulations, and in spite of all the things we did wrong on the way, he kept with us. And it's actually, we're saying over all these 42 stops to remind us and to remind HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we really appreciate him taking us through all this for such a long time. In spite of everything, he stuck with us through hail and brimstone. However, the Sforno, interestingly enough, says the opposite. It says, why do we have all these 42? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to point out what a tremendous people Am Yisrael are, how they followed for 40 years. They had 42 stops. They didn't give up. Lech tech acharai b'midbar be'eretz lo zruah. They stuck with Hashem. Am Yisrael didn't know where they were going, when they were going to get there. They knew nothing, but they stuck with Hashem and with Moshe and Aaron and Miriam, and they went. And that was a big sign of emunah. So actually, all these 42 stages are to teach us what a great nation we have. And this is an interesting balance I find many times in the Torah, the balance of a mutual relationship. I think anybody who is involved in any type of relationship wants it to be mutual. And I think each and every one of us, when we find out that a certain relationship is not mutual, is very disappointed. What am I talking about? If we look at Rashi on the one hand, and we look at the Sforno on the other hand, Rashi says this is trying to tell us what a fantastic God we have, and how Kadosh Baruch Hu was with us all the way. And the Sforno says it's coming to teach us what a fantastic nation we have. That Kadosh Baruch Hu is talking about the appreciation of the fantastic nation he has. We are appreciating him, he's appreciating us. This is an interesting idea, which is also shown in the Talmud, the tractate Masechet Brachot, where it talks about HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts on tefillin. What's it saying in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's tefillin? It says, "Umika amcha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz." We say in our tefillin, "Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad." We praise our one God, and He praises His one nation. Again, a mutual relationship. A few months ago, when we started Vayikra, we learned the Orach Chaim that spoke about the fact that sometimes it is called Mishkan, and sometimes it's called Mikdash. So is it a Mishkan or is it a Mikdash? Let's see, why are we using two words for the same place? The Mishkan was the Mikdash, and the Mikdash was the Mishkan. So why the play on words? And the answer is, he gives the Orach Chaim beautiful. He says, Mishkan is what we call it. We as human beings, with Mishkan, please come and stay with us. Please come and stay with us. We want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to dwell amongst us. And the Mikdash is when HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to dwell about. Mikdash is to make it holy. He brings his holiness to us. So as any relationship, we want it to be mutual. So it is with here, the reasons for the 42 different stops in the desert. This Rashi and this Sforno. But this is throughout history, and we are in the 3 weeks, and we actually say a lot of kinot, a lot of prayers on Tisha B'Av, saying Anachnu Pashanu Maradnu, we didn't keep our part of the deal. The relationship we broke, we were not loyal, and therefore eventually HaKadosh Baruch Hu destroyed the temple because we didn't keep our part, so he didn't feel he has to keep his part. And that's how it works with relationships. But we're looking forward to Geula Shlema, which means we're trying to keep our part of the deal, and we're looking forward to him keeping his part of the deal. So far, it's happening. So far, we have so many Jews coming back to Israel. And so far, we've got more Torah studied today in Jerusalem than ever before in history. And we're making big steps ahead. And we're trying our best. And we see Nissim. We see Nissim every day with different enemies who are trying to harm us. And it doesn't work for them. Baruch Hashem, we have to recreate. What we have to think about during these 3 weeks is how do we recreate this beautiful mutual relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ad Bias HaMashiach, Meher B'Meinu. Amen.